What up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and thank you all for tuning in. It's Matty B, and we just finished up watching an insane banger showdown of a finale in Salt Lake City for the 2025 Supercross season. And we had a winner-take-all shootout heading into the 250 East region finale, which, in my opinion, was decided by some pretty gnarls Barkley team tactics and then a failed RJ Hampshire carpet bomb attempt. We had some heavy hitters injured in a huge crash in qualifying earlier today, and then the 450 class, a little bit more low key. It kind of went exactly how I thought it would, and we'll get into all of that and more. But before I do, got to give a huge thank you to my channel sponsors that help me keep this going.
Quickmoto.com. If you're in need of some graphics, backgrounds, canopies, and much more, use my code on screen for 20% off. Also, Sirius Studio. I'm now a partner in the company, so anything you buy on their website using my code MB820, a small slice of that goes to me to help keep the channel going. And last but not least, my boy AJ is doing a Tesla Model 3 giveaway. I have all the info in my video description on how to enter, and make sure to check him out on X, Instagram, and YouTube at AJ Writes Crypto.
So first off, some brief thoughts on the track because I really just want to get into the results and the racing action from tonight because it was insane. But for Salt Lake City, I feel like that was a pretty good track. I don't think it's one of the bigger stadium floors. The dirt's always crappy, and they ran it in the daytime this year. So the crew was kind of chasing the conditions, making sure they got enough water on it, but I feel like they did a very good job. I feel like it was a good layout, super technical. The transitions were pretty steep. We saw a lot of mistakes in the rhythm sections. The whoops were a factor. I'm a little bit bummed as a fan that they took out the sand, but I'm sure the riders are stoked. And all in all, it provided some awesome entertainment all afternoon. Now we'll go ahead and get into the results, starting with the 250 East-West Showdown. And with the win, with all the drama that went down tonight, somehow this guy was not a part of it at all. Hayden Deegan with a runaway commanding win. And we all know how this guy is. You know he's stoked to end the season like that and kind of put a stamp on it, show everybody that he's the best and fastest guy in this 250 class. And he completely took himself out of that championship conversation for the East guys because he just got out front, checked out like it was 11 a.m. at a hotel, and never looked back. Then in second for two Jews, Beaumer, Julian Beaumer, and I got to be honest with you guys, I had some serious choice words for Juju. During that main event, if you've been watching on the channel, you know I am a ride or die massive Seth Hamaker fan. That's who I was rooting for, and Juju threw himself right in the mix and teed up Seth. And damn, Juju, like where the hell was this energy with Deegan, man? You're letting him walk all over you earlier this year. I wish we would have seen one of those dive bomb moves on him. That would have made things a lot more interesting than messing with somebody on the opposite coast. But I guess it did make for entertainment. It just pissed me off. And I'm not happy about it at all that he inserted himself into the championship picture. But I am biased. Hamaker's my guy. But all in all, that was a good ride from Juju. A great heat race, come from behind, catching Deegan, passing him, dicing him up, and then pulling away for the win. He didn't have much for him in the main event when it counted, but still, a second in the showdown is a great ride, and it was really an awesome season for him. Even through a torn labia, he still was second in points, got a win, and proved that he was a serious player for the championship. But I'm just bummed on the tee up on Hamaker. You know, you maybe would think, it's big difference in bonuses between second and third, and he just wanted a good spot in the race. I would totally understand that. But when RJ passed him in the rhythm, I didn't see Juju teeing him up or anything like that. It kind of looked like he just laid up, let him go, which, Hamaker, he jumped by him in the rhythm section also, and the very next turn, he teed him up. And of course, Juju's not going to tee up RJ. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but I'm just saying there seriously had to have been some team tactics involved. I think Vial owes a serious cut of that championship to Juju because without two Jews, Hamaker would have been out of there and set sail and been gone. And I totally get it. Racing, there's a lot at stake, a lot of money, a lot of prestige, and you pretty much want to win at all costs. But I feel like KTM takes it to the extreme. I can't say I necessarily don't respect it, but I really don't like it, especially when it's against one of my boys. But they got two other brands as backup. I mean, they literally have Husky and Gas Gas and all the KTM guys. So Roger back at the pit had to have told two Jews, hey man, if Tom needs your back, you're going to have it. And I know y'all haven't forgotten the 2017 Ryan Dungey Championship run where at East Rutherford, I think it was, they literally had Marvin Musquin pull right out of the way and give up a race win for Ryan Dungey to have those 3 points. And then in Vegas, we had Eli Tomac bunching up the field, playing it perfectly, and there was just a train of Husqvarna and KTM riders backed up behind Ryan Dungey, refusing to pass. So I'm definitely not against all forms of team tactics, but I feel like KTM takes it a little bit to the extreme. But hey, they got it done because third place, Tom Vial, is a two-time 250 East Supercross champion. And I really don't mean this as a dig, but I don't really know how to say it without it sounding bad. But I really feel like he is by far the slowest two-time Supercross champion there's ever been. But that's just a testament to how much of a racer this guy is. He's a gamer and he's on it when it counts. He's there every weekend, even with the last place in the mud, and he's consistent. He capitalizes on others' mistakes. And with all those things in mind, you just can't take anything away from him for winning the championship. And now he's got to move to the 450 class. I think that's going to be a pretty gnarly transition because Tom really hasn't had a whole lot of outright speed, even in these regional 250 divisions. And the 450 class is a dog eat dog world. It is deep, so I think it's going to be tough for him, but he's got a good team behind him. Now he's a two-time champ, and I would assume that comes with having a good bank account behind you, too. Then a fourth place. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I am insanely bummed about this. Seth Hamaker, the poor dude did pretty much everything right, played it perfectly, might have made maybe one or two mistakes, but he passed everybody he needed to pass. He made all the moves he needed to make, and he still got screwed. And I think it's pretty clear Seth was the best guy this season, and everybody in this E Series, they all had at least one round they could point to. But especially for Seth, he had the one round with food poisoning, which isn't his fault. So I feel like this was really his to lose, and I feel like it was unexpected too. I know I didn't see it coming, and I don't think any of us did, maybe not even Seth or his team. But I'm trying to stick with the positives here. Had Seth been the champ after tonight, he would only have one more season of 250 Supercross eligibility, and then he would be bumped to the 450 class. So at least now he's got some awesome momentum heading into the Pro Motocross Championship. He's got an extra year of eligibility for 250 Supercross, and I think he's going to get his chance for sure, probably even next year. So I'm super bummed. I wish we were living in a world where Seth Hamaker was champ, but I think he's got a super bright future. I'm stoked at the progress he's made and this trajectory he's on, and I think it's only going to get better from here. And if you're not a Seth Hamaker fan, you should be. He is an awesome kid, a total role model, as seen by the podium interview after his loss. He handled it like an absolute champion. And Seth Hamaker ain't done. He's only just begun. No choice. Then a fifth for Michael Moseman. I didn't even really know that happened, but the results say he got fifth. Bravo. And then a sixth for RJ Hampshire. Gotta say, I had some seriously choice words for him during the broadcast as well. And I don't fault him for going for it at all. I feel like all of us would, anybody would in that situation with all that was on the line, and it was right there within his grasp. And that was almost such a heroic comeback ride for RJ to be a champion, especially after the day he had with the crash in the heat race, caught up in the TV wires, had to go to the LCQ. Very on brand for RJ, and then he salvages the start mid pack in the main and just marches his way forward, passes all the guys he needs to pass, gets through Vial, and gets to Hamaker. And I really don't mean to sound like I'm hating because RJ has obviously made it to the pinnacle of the sport, and I'm only talking about people that made it to the pinnacle of the sport. But I feel like he just made like a rookie mistake just going in there and rushing it. He did need to put somebody between him and Hamaker with the points gap in order for RJ to get the win. So that's probably why he was going to knock Seth down. But I just feel like that was the sloppiest attempt he possibly could have had. He definitely had some more time. He could have waited and maybe set it up a little better. And if you watch the replay, it didn't look like he had a chance in hell at stopping and making that corner. And instead, he just took them both down. And that's kind of what I was afraid of because RJ and Seth tend to be a little bit more loose cannons. I had a feeling maybe they would get into something and Vial would just ride away to the victory. And damn, that's what happened. But either way, RJ's wrist has been hanging on by a thread for like 3 to 5 business months this year. So props to him for even staying in it as long as he did. Now he's got to go to the 450 class. I don't know if it's going to be in Pro Motocross or not with the bum wrist, but RJ is going to RJ. His days of sending it are far from over. And then rounding out the top 10, 7th for Marchbanks, 8th for Shimoda, 9th for Cody Schock, and 10th for the rookie Drew Adams. A lot of West Coast guys in that top 10. And then I made a video update about it earlier. I'll touch on it again. What a huge bummer to see Cole Davies and Jordan Smith go down in a massive crash in qualifying earlier today. Cole Davies was on a heater. He was on the top of the board, messed up the rhythm section, then dropped down in between one of the transitions and slowed down a lot. Kind of swerved to the left a little bit. Maybe he got a little cross-threaded or pulled by one of the grooves. Down in between the jumps, swerved right into Jordan Smith, who was mid-quad god, landed right on top of him. And poor Cole Davies, he gets landed on by the one guy wearing the airbag, so he has even more weight crashing down on top of him. And as bad as the crash was, I was really fearing the worst. I was very scared that that was something really, really bad. For Jordan Smith, it kind of buffed out. He was at the Hematoma National and tried to race, but couldn't quite pull it off. But I think he'll be okay, hopefully soon. As far as Cole Davies, they're reporting that it's an arm injury. And with all things considered and how bad that was, I feel like that is a blessing to only get off with an arm injury. So he's probably going to be out for a little bit. He may miss a good portion of Pro Motocross, but the good news is he'll be able to heal, he'll be able to recover, and he'll still be able to continue his march to Supercross stardom because man, has it been fun to watch this year. This kid is incredible. Now, on to the 450 class. I'll be able to keep this one a lot more brief. With the win, coming up just short of the championship, Chase Sexton. No funny business like we saw in the 250 class. It looked like he considered a brake check for a second, and then he was like, nah, never mind, I'll just smoke you. But this has got to be the one that got away in the mind of Chase Sexton. He only lost the championship by 2 points. And if you remember the Arlington Triple Crown, where he was trying to just win a pecker measuring contest against Cooper Webb in that third main, he had the overall on lock, just wanted the win in the main. Crashed, went from first to third overall. I think it was an 8 point swing between him and Cooper Webb, and he only lost by two. And that wasn't the only one either. There were several moments like that from Chase Sexton. So, in a perfect world for him, he could have wrapped up this championship last weekend in Denver. But unfortunately, it was a mistake ridden middle of the season and he comes up just short. But still, he showed the speed he always shows. He stayed in it till the very end, and we'll see what he's got for us next year on a Monster Energy Kawasaki. Second place for Malcolm Stewart, and what a revelation season for him this year. I've been super impressed and have enjoyed seeing his rise back to running up front. I really didn't expect it because last year was a super lackluster year for him, but he's found the momentum, he's found his groove, and he looked great all year. Ends it with a second. I thought he was about to give Coop the business, but he left him like half an inch, so fair game, no choice. But awesome season for Malcolm Stewart. Fourth place overall in points, a few podiums, a win. I'm sure the guy's got to be stoked, and I'm stoked to see it. The sport's always better when we have our top guys thriving, and the Stewarts are so talented on dirt bikes, so whenever they're in peak form, it's always fun to watch. Then a third for Justin Cooper. He's another one. Awesome season all year. Several podiums, third in points. I feel like he's got to be happy with it. It looked like he was being a really good teammate to Cooper Webb for a little bit there, and then it kind of bit him in the ass as Malcolm Stewart caught him and blew the goggle straps off. But especially for a guy who jumps whoops almost all season, this many podiums, a third in the points. If this guy learns how to skim the whoops, he could be a serious championship threat in years to come. And then in fourth place, Cooper Webb, the three-time 450 Supercross champ. The dude did exactly what I thought he would do. He got off to a great start, waited for Sexton to catch him, let him by, and then just kind of managed from there. And now he is in incredibly elite territory as a three-time Supercross champion. Only 7 other people in the history of Supercross have done this. And as somebody that grew up racing with Coop, spending a lot of time with him and going to races with he and his dad in their RV as kids, I'm not going to lie, I really didn't expect this out of him, and maybe I should have. He spent a lot of time in the shadow of Adam Cianciarulo and was never really the dominant guy in amateurs ever. But what he has always been is the mental giant that he currently is. I even remember when we were kids, he used to mess with me and the kids we were racing, just like he does to these guys today. That's his thing. That's how he'll always be. And he may not always be the fastest guy in Supercross. Hell, he actually usually isn't, but he's a gamer. He's there every weekend, and the dude knows how to win championships. In my preseason, I predicted Jet to be champion and Cooper to be second. And with Jet out, I feel like I'm half vindicated on this one, so congratulations, Cooper Webb. Then rounding out the top five, a quiet fifth for Joey Savacci on the Quadlock Honda. I didn't really see or hear anything about it, but that's a great result. And then also his Quadlock Honda teammate Shane McElrath with a ninth place. The result on paper doesn't quite tell the tale of how good Shane was today, but I feel like this was maybe his best overall day that he's ever had in 450 Supercross, maybe even better than the race he had in the mud. He was good all day in qualifying, great heat race. He was right there with that main pack in the main event. He did unfortunately have an untimely crash and drop back while he was running with that main group, but he showed so much in this latter half of the season and he really came to life. And I feel like a lot of people forget how bad of a dude Shane really is and how lethal he was in the 250 class. He took Sexton down to the wire for a championship. He's battled and beat pretty much everybody that came through, and it's cool to see him finally starting to find his groove again. Bravo, Shane. But that's all I got for you guys for Supercross 2025. I can't believe I actually made it all season. Did a review every round. I did a preview every round. We kept it going, no choice. And I really appreciate all of you that tuned in and week out. And we're going to keep it going for Pro Motocross. I'm actually headed out west next week. We're going to get some preseason content at all the tracks out there. I'll be heading to the Glen Helen Stopwatch National and MotoFest. Over $100,000 in pro payouts going down next weekend. I'm hoping to hit a Club MX trip to get some of their preseason riding, and I'm really excited for the outdoors. I got a lot more expertise in those. I actually race those the dog days of summer, so I'm hyped for those to start up. We're going to keep it going all summer long, but I appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank you very much. We'll bring you as much as we can from as many places as we can, but for now, we out.